Sony recently pulled the curtain back on its long-rumored PlayStation Plus revamp. Starting at some point in June, PlayStation Plus will have 3 tiers for subscribers to choose from. Since launching PlayStation Plus in 2010, SIE has been at the forefront of innovation with game subscription services, with the first console membership service that included a refreshed library of games through PlayStation Plus, and also launched the first console game streaming service with PlayStation Now. The basic PlayStation Plus Essential tier will offer PS Plus services as they exist today, while PlayStation Plus Extra basically combines PS Plus with PlayStation Now. The highest tier is PlayStation Plus Premium, and it will offer gamers hundreds of extra games to choose from. Those that sign up for PS Plus Extra will have access to up to 400 PS4 and PS5 games, including some heavy hitters. PS Plus Extra will cost $15 per month, $40 per quarter, or $100 per year. PlayStation Plus Premium, meanwhile, costs $18 per month, $50 per quarter, or $120 per year. It includes all the benefits that come with PS Plus Extra, but it also gives subscribers access to a sizable roster of retro games as well from the PS1, PS2, PSP, and PS3 eras. Sony has said that PS Plus Premium will add up to 340 additional games. This means that PlayStation Plus Premium is going to launch with over 700 games at launch. There are some caveats to consider when it comes to PlayStation Plus Premium, however. Sony has said that the PS3 games will only be available via cloud streaming, which means performance may vary greatly depending on one's internet connection. The PS1, PS2, and PSP games will have download and streaming options available, but it's unclear how comprehensive those will be. As announced by PlayStation, PS Plus Extra and Premium will include Death Stranding, God of War, Marvel's Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal at launch. It was mentioned that these titles will be regularly refreshed, which indicates that they will be rotated in and out with other games, so subscribers to these new PS Plus tiers should keep that in mind. Regardless, that's quite the impressive lineup of games that PS Plus Extra and Premium are launching with, and they should keep subscribers plenty busy. They also seem to be somewhat strategically chosen, as God of War has a sequel coming out this year in the form of God of War Ragnarok, while Insomniac's next Spider-Man game is expected to drop in 2023. This will make the games more readily available to players, which can in turn create new fans who will be more willing to pick up the next entries in the respective franchises. Among other features, PS Plus Premium adds 340 more, but older-gen, games to the service. These have yet to be confirmed, but a recent leak may have revealed a quick peek. According to a leak, a PlayStation Plus user came across the image on their console, took a quick screenshot, and then it disappeared. This should be taken with a grain of salt, as there is no real evidence this came from the console, and there are parts of it that seem to be red flags. But still, many would be excited to see these games on PS Plus Premium. From the icons, this list of games includes Silent Hill 2, Prince of Persia Warrior Within, Infamous, Twisted Metal, Resident Evil 2, Daxter, Dissidia 012 Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, Rayman, Fallout New Vegas, Ratchet & Clank, Dino Crisis, Little Big Planet 2 and others. Obviously, some of these games are pure nostalgia from their time, such as Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, and many of them would be definitive representations of their platforms. However, again, this could be easily faked. It is incredibly similar to the standard PS Plus collection UI, and Silent Hill 2's inclusion, while not impossible, is sketchy. After all, it's no secret that Konami lost the Silent Hill 2 code. Across the bottom, there are also some listed demos part of PS Plus Premium's time trials, presumably. The games put as advertisements there include God of War Ragnarok, Forspoken, what appears to be Final Fantasy XVI, and perhaps the biggest red flag Spider-Man 2. It's not impossible that these games were included as placeholders, but it's very sketchy. Sony made some major changes to PlayStation Plus when it released the PS5. Not only did the PS5's debut see Sony start offering 3 games to PlayStation Plus subscribers every month instead of the usual 2, but it also saw the introduction of the PS Plus collection. Whereas most free PS Plus games are only available for 1 month at a time, the PS Plus collection games are more permanent, with all 20 that were available at launch still available to this day. The PS Plus collection is a lineup of 20 popular PlayStation 4 games that subscribers can claim at any time. Once they do, the games are treated like normal PS Plus titles in that PlayStation gamers will have access to them as long as they remain subscribed to the service. It's really a great deal, especially for anyone that missed out on any of the games when they first released on PS4. However, there's been some concern that the PS Plus collection might be going away. Recently, Sony announced that Persona 5 is leaving the PS Plus collection, the first game to do so. If PlayStation Plus subscribers don't claim Persona 5 by the time May 11th rolls around, they are out of luck. This combined with the PS Plus Revamp announcement has left some fans thinking that the PS Plus collection will be going away entirely, but Sony has confirmed that's not the case. Even after the PS Plus Revamp happens in June, the PS Plus collection is here to stay. Sony's grand reveal of the overhauled PS Plus subscription service features 3 different tiers, with higher tiers offering access to a library of both modern PlayStation games and classic games from the PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP. However, the PlayStation Vita was notably excluded from the service's offerings, with the Vita's library seemingly being snubbed from the premium packages. The PS Vita's release in December 2011 in Japan and February 2012 worldwide came as Sony's belated answer to gaming's increasing focus on the touchscreen. With Nintendo's DS, 3DS, and then upcoming Wii U all prominently featuring touchscreens as an alternate control scheme, the Vita released with dual touchpads on the front and back, as well as looking to trump Nintendo's other platforms with 2 joysticks and console-quality games on a mobile platform. However, a lack of proper support saw the Vita meet an early end, and now, Sony's new PS Plus Premium looks to be similarly skipping over the Vita. While the Vita was not the commercial success Sony had hoped for, the Vita boasts a library of titles that have become iconic among both Sony consoles and the gaming industry at large. Persona 4 Golden, the enhanced remake of the Atlas hit RPG, first debuted on the Vita, with the game still unavailable to play on modern PlayStation consoles after receiving a Steam port in 2020, and the cult classic Gravity Rush series first debuted on Vita. Several other popular franchises like God of War, Uncharted, and Killzone also saw unique releases on the platform. When PS Plus is finally expanded in June, there will be plenty of content for players to digest across each of the subscription service's 3 tiers. The fact that the expensive premium tier option will include a lineup of retro games from PlayStation's past shouldn't be forgotten though, as it's these games that will likely help the service get up to speed in the short term. Since the early days of the PS3 era, Sony's trophy system has been a cornerstone of PlayStation's digital ecosystem. Large communities have subsequently developed on the internet that are full of players who love chasing the virtual accolades in the games they play. For a lot of these fans, trophies are a big deal that can enhance their gaming sessions immensely. While there's been no official confirmation from Sony yet, based on how PS Now currently works, at the very least it seems likely that most of the PS3 games coming to PS Plus will retain their trophy functionality. So far there's been no word at all, though, on if the other retro PlayStation games coming to PS Plus will have added trophy support. Considering how every PS1, PS2, and PSP game launched well before the idea popped into Sony's metaphorical mind, most of these games don't have native support for the system right now. It could take some effort on the publisher's part as a result, but making sure trophies are added to each of these games would be a significant boon for the service. Having become such an important part of PlayStation's history and recent success, most players have come to expect the presence of these virtual trinkets. Beyond living up to expectations, there are monetary benefits for Sony if it does retroactively add trophies to PS Plus classic games. Both veteran players and potential newcomers are more likely to check out these types of titles if they feature modernizing systems that make the experience better and fresh. Adding trophy support to original PlayStation, PS2, and PSP games would increase the number of people willing to invest in the service's premium tier. With cheap emulation being an established part of PC gaming, there's a sense that Sony needs to add something special to its official re-releases to incentivize adoption. Being able to chase platinum trophies in potential games like Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, and Tekken 3 would do the trick nicely. Thankfully, there's some positive signs that retro trophy support could come to Sony's PS Plus offerings, if the feature isn't already a part of the subscription services on its relaunch date. Back in 2021, a patent was uncovered which suggested Sony had been working on technology that could allow it to retrofit older games with trophies. This means that the publisher is aware of the demand for the idea, and is potentially still working on a way to make it happen. Crucially, the patent alludes to the fact that the original developers of the games in question wouldn't have to be involved either. This would no doubt speed up the process, considering how many classic studios have gone out of business since the PS1, PS2, and PSP eras. This isn't the first time that Sony has explored the concept of adding trophies to classic games either. In 2013, a patent was filed by the publisher for technology that would have allowed it to add trophies to disc-based copies of PS1 and PS2 games. Even though nothing came of that specific idea, PS2 games re-released on the PS4 as digital downloads did include the virtual achievements. It's not a like-for-like comparison, but there's clear intent from Sony to make it happen, coupled with a willingness to experiment. Having laid so much groundwork, there's a sense amongst fans that Sony should finish off the process by adding trophies to PlayStation Plus incoming classics. Also, there are patents that indicate that native support for PS3 titles are coming soon, which I hope so. As part of Sony's announcement of the new tiered PlayStation Plus offerings, the company announced that when the new service launches in June, those who have PS Now subscriptions that run past that launch date will be automatically upgraded to PlayStation Plus Premium. That automatic upgrade could be quite the boon for people who might have bought a quarterly or yearly PS Now subscription, but have a monthly PlayStation Plus subscription. Those users will essentially be able to get the premium tier for half off, once they cancel their separate PS Plus subscription. This particular upgrade does have a caveat, however, as it's not permanent. Instead, those who are current PS Now subscribers will only be able to take advantage of the free premium tier for however long their previous subscription lasted. So if they are on the monthly installment plan for that service, they'll have to pony up to keep using the new tiered system rather quickly. On the other hand, those who purchased a yearly subscription in January 2022 will have a half year of the highest level of the new PS Plus without paying any other fees. The important thing to notice in this revamp is that according to PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan, Sony will not be adding Day 1 Sony games to the service. Ryan mentioned in an interview with GamesIndustry.biz that the company is pleased with the way its profitable business model currently works, and that any changes to this could affect the amount that it is able to invest in its games, which in turn could impact quality. I have been telling this for a long time. Games that goes directly into a service day and date, which does not have the threshold to be profitable, the quality will definitely take a hit. You can take games like Halo Infinite and Forza Horizon 5 for example. Games with high budget cannot be sustained in a service with less than 25 million subscribers, and that's a fact that's been told by many industrial execs like Sean Layden, Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick, and now Jim Ryan. But, although the new PlayStation Plus tiers will not receive any Day 1 games for the foreseeable future, Ryan has noted that this decision is not set in stone and could change at some point, in which PlayStation should have more than 200 million PS Plus subscribers, which is a long way off. As of now, they are sitting at 52 million PS Plus subs, and I don't want the blockbuster games they make go directly into a service, which will reduce the profit of the game, will hinder its sales, which will result in a piss-poor sequel or no sequel at all, so we don't want that. In other news, PlayStation announced last week that single-player games are still a priority for the company. While unsurprising, it is good news for fans of story-based games, as the industry becomes more and more focused on live-service games. PlayStation has received a massive amount of success both commercially and critically for its single-player games over the past few years, and it should be the main focus of PlayStation. Speaking of PS Plus, Sony has used Wednesday, March 30th to pull the curtain back on the titles that are coming to the service next month. Starting Tuesday, April 5th, and until Monday, May 2nd, PS Plus subscribers will have 3 new games to claim and add to their digital libraries. The headlining game is Hood Outlaws and Legends, a PvP multiplayer game that first launched in May of last year. Hood Outlaws and Legends is not even a year old yet, which makes it an interesting addition to the free PS Plus games lineup, though it did earn mixed reviews at launch. Both the PS4 and PS5 versions of Hood Outlaws and Legends will be available for PS Plus subscribers to claim. Meanwhile, PS Plus subscribers also have Slay the Spire and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated to look forward to in April. As usually happens, the free PS Plus games for April 2022 leaked ahead of time, so many fans already knew what to expect from the April 2022 offerings. It seems many agree the free PS Plus games for April 2022 are a fairly solid lineup of games, though some fans may not be happy with Hood Outlaws and Legends because of its multiplayer focus and Sony's tendency to make the free PS5 games multiplayer titles. But while there are some major changes on the horizon for PlayStation Now, Sony is still adding new games to the service on a monthly basis. As usual, the new PlayStation Now games will be added on the first Tuesday of the month, so PlayStation Now subscribers can start playing these games beginning Tuesday, April 5th. The new PlayStation Now games for April 2022 are Journey to the Savage Planet, Outer Wilds, Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood, and WRC 10 FIA World Rally Championship. Out of these games, the headliner is Outer Wilds, a critically acclaimed indie game from Mobius Digital and Annapurna Interactive. For the uninitiated, Outer Wilds is an award-winning game where players explore a solar system trapped in a time loop. Journey to the Savage Planet, meanwhile, is a first-person adventure game where players explore a hostile alien world. Werewolf the Apocalypse Earthblood is an action RPG that earned mostly negative reviews at the time of its release, while WRC 10 FIA World Rally Championship is a racing game. Sony did not announce when any of these games are going to be removed from PlayStation Now, which is usually a good indicator that they will be available on the service for quite some time. Usually if any of the new PlayStation Now games for any given month are only going to be available for a few months, Sony will point out their removal dates. For example, when it was announced that Grand Theft Auto Vice City the Definitive Edition was coming to PlayStation Now, Sony also confirmed that the game would be removed from the service on May 2nd. So PlayStation Now subscribers are running out of time to play that game if they're interested. They shouldn't have to worry about any of the new PlayStation Now games for April 2022 being removed anytime soon though. I'm actually looking forward to the legacy games that are being added to the new revamped PlayStation Plus subscription service. PlayStation has acquired several studios in the past year. 2021 saw the acquisition of Housemarque, Bluepoint Games, Firesprite, Nix's Software, and Valkyrie Entertainment. Needless to say, PlayStation Studios has greatly expanded since the beginning of the generation. On January 31, 2022, Sony announced that it's acquiring Bungie for $3.6 billion, and also Haven Studios a few days ago. However, Bungie confirmed that it will continue to develop multi-platform games, and will not release content exclusively for PlayStation devices. Games currently in development at Bungie will also not be exclusive, which resulted in some fans questioning Sony's decision to pay such a hefty fee. Now, a new rumor suggests that Sony has another massive acquisition to announce. This information comes from GamesBeat's Jeff Grubb and Kinda Funny's Greg Miller. In a video uploaded on the Kinda Funny Games YouTube channel, Grubb and Miller confirm that they have heard about a new really big Sony acquisition from multiple sources. They do not share any further details, as they don't seem 100% confident about it going through. Every rumor should always be taken with a grain of salt, but both Jeff Grubb and Greg Miller have been correct on several occasions. Nothing was leaked about all other major acquisitions from Sony or Microsoft, and many fans were left stunned at the announcements. It is strange for this information to get out in this manner, but it doesn't mean that it may not turn out to be true. Sony had earlier confirmed that it's looking to acquire more studios, and Jeff Keighley had also heard about more deals being in their final stages of negotiation. There aren't many big studios left for either company to acquire aside from CD Projekt Red and Quantic Dreams, so this information probably hints at Sony acquiring a publisher, with EA and Ubisoft being some of the biggest names, or it could be CDPR, as Quantic Dreams is also rumored to be acquired, not by Sony, but by NetEase. Sony could also be looking to acquire a Japanese publisher like Capcom or Square Enix. and some fans want them to purchase From Software. However, From Software is currently a subsidiary of Kadokawa Corporation. Speaking of leaks, a new leak provides details on some upcoming Naughty Dog projects, including The Last of Us Factions, and a new IP with a fantasy setting. Naughty Dog is one of the best studios in the world. The developer has released major hits for all PlayStation consoles, and has received several awards for its work on the Uncharted and The Last of Us franchises, and also are high sellers. It has been almost 2 years since Naughty Dog released The Last of Us 2, and fans have been patiently waiting for new announcements. Naughty Dog has confirmed that it's working on a multiplayer title set in The Last of Us universe, and rumors suggest that a remake of the original The Last of Us is also in development at the studio. Now, a new leak shares details on some of Naughty Dog's upcoming projects. It states that the upcoming The Last of Us multiplayer game began as a Battle Royale title, but it was completely rebooted. It's now a mix between Escape from Tarkov and The Division, with more modes based on the original Factions game mode from The Last of Us. The leaker describes it as an online game that offers a single-player-like experience, adding that it will be a free-to-play title that will launch on PS5, with a PC release scheduled for later. The leak also confirms that Naughty Dog is working on a new IP with a fantasy setting. This single-player game is currently in full production. However, Naughty Dog co-president Neil Druckmann is not involved with this project. Finally, the leaker claims that Naughty Dog has outlined a script for The Last of Us 3, but the studio is busy with other projects and the game has reportedly not entered the production stage. There is a lot of information in this leak, but everything seems plausible. Many fans expected Naughty Dog to work on a new IP for PS5, and it's fair to expect the studio to release the third game in the Last of Us series at some point. Neil Druckmann did hint at 3 games being in development at Naughty Dog, which also matches the number of titles described in this leak. However, it's strange that the leaker does not mention The Last of Us remake. The game may be near completion, and they probably do not have anything new to reveal. Whatever Naughty Dog is working on next, we can expect to see it at an upcoming PlayStation Showcase event. Speaking of showcases, the physical version of E3 2022 has been cancelled for some time, but now hopes for a digital version of the event have been dashed as well. E3 was once the biggest video game event of the year, with the biggest companies using it to make blockbuster announcements. An E3 event took place in some capacity every year from its inception in 1995, until 2020, when E3 2020 was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. E3 made its return as a digital-only event in 2021, but it seems supposed plans for another digital-only E3 for 2022 have been scrapped as well. The in-person E3 2022 was cancelled earlier this year, but reports indicated that there were still plans to host a digital-only version of the event like what happened in 2021. Unfortunately for those looking forward to E3, it's now been confirmed that the ESA has no plans to host a digital-only version of the event in 2022. This was initially revealed by Razor's Will Powers on Twitter, with a follow-up report by IGN confirming the news. While E3 2022 will not be happening, it doesn't mean that there won't be big gaming announcements to look forward to this summer. In fact, the Game Awards host Jeff Keighley cryptically tweeted out a winking face after news of E3 2022's complete cancellation started making the rounds, reminding fans that Summer Game Fest will be returning this year to help fill the void left by E3. Summer Game Fest, for the uninitiated, is a special summer event hosted by Jeff Keighley that started in 2020 when E3 was cancelled. Keighley brought Summer Game Fest back in 2021, where it famously featured the gameplay reveal for Elden Ring. Keighley has been clear about Summer Game Fest returning for a 2022 event, and now with E3 out of the equation, it seems this year's event has potential to be even bigger than it was going to be before. In a FAQ for this year's Summer Game Fest, Keighley's summer of announcements is detailed in terms of what fans should expect from the show's format. It will indeed be a show, with both live and virtual components to it, such as a slate of digital live-stream shows. Interestingly, this FAQ post also states that Summer Game Fest will start with a spectacular live kickoff show hosted by none other than Keighley. For the second time in history, there will be no E3 taking place this year. However, the ESA has decided that it would be better for the organizing team to focus on next year instead. The news was first reported on Twitter by Axios journalist Stephen Todd Ilo. He said that E3 2023 will be delivered both as physical and digital events. While so far there hasn't been any official confirmation by the organizer regarding this new development, Stephen corroborated the news by showing an excerpt of a statement from the ESA. In the statement, it is said that the ESA will be devoting its energy and resources to delivering a revitalized physical and digital E3 experience next summer. It is also said that the 2023 showcase will be held in an all-new format and interactive experience. Unfortunately, neither the statement nor the report explained further as to how the new hybrid format will take place next year. Previously, E3 had always been an in-person event, with the exception for E3 2021. The intention to give E3 a major revamp sounds reasonable since other gaming events have slowly gained more traction lately. Even events such as the Game Awards have been recognized more as a showcase event than an awards show. The cancellation of E3 2020 also gave birth to another annual gaming event taking place at summertime, Summer Game Fest, which has plans to make its third appearance this year. The pandemic era has been a rough time for video games. Hardware shortages are impacting the next generation consoles heavily, making it difficult to find PS5 and Xbox Series consoles in some regions. The demand is high as lockdowns come and go, but between the parts shortage and the work of scalpers, the supply hasn't been there. On the development side, many studios have been forced to work from home and deal with internal and external delays. This has pushed back a lot of release dates, and may have affected some larger titles' ability to polish out bugs before launch. However, some of the most obvious hits to the average consumer have been physical gaming events. Right from the beginning of North America's first lockdown, events were not able to support as many people as normal, if they were even able to run at all. The flow of game news quickly became disrupted, with even digital events not being aired due to development schedules needing to change. Nintendo fans likely remember the lack of Nintendo Directs during 2020, but for the rest of the industry, the total cancellation of E3 2020 stands out even more. E3 has been at the heart of video game news and hype for the past 27 years, and its absence was keenly felt. Now, the Entertainment Software Association, ESA, has decided that there will be no E3 2022 after a return in 2021, which means E3 may need a replacement. To explain why E3 is so important for the gaming industry, it is necessary to cover what equivalent shows were like without it. One needs to look no farther than the summer of 2020 to see why a focused and compact show is vital for consuming a large amount of video game news. Because E3 2020 had to be shut down, it was replaced by many digital showcases that aired throughout the summer. Sony and Microsoft had a handful, but there were also many others, often lacking counterparts in normal E3 proceedings. Jeff Keighley and IGN collected shows under the banners of Summer Game Fest and the Summer of Gaming respectively, and doled them out over 3 months. Traditionally, the E3 season only lasts for about a week, stretching to 2 weeks if accounting for the various announcements around E3's main conferences. In that time, 3 to 20 shows may take place, often wrapping up in less than a week and being followed by show floor proceedings. 2020's summer-length events more than doubled the number of presentations that a modern E3 would include, and many weren't grabbing gamers' attention. E3 has had some trouble with bloat over the past few years, with certain shows like the PC Gaming Show and the Future Games Show proving to be less enjoyable for consumers compared to those hosted by major publishers. It's become clear that a compact show is necessary to funnel the industry's attention into one place and assist fans in absorbing the massive amount of information gaming events produce. A tight schedule can be constructed for showrunners, developers, and viewers alike, with gamers able to construct their viewing schedule based on what shows they want to watch. The tightness of a typical E3 makes it feel like a celebratory event for the gaming industry, one that brings everyone together in discussing the news. Without it, or an event like it, a full season of news events can blend together and fail to make an impression. When most of the intended audience doesn't even realize that a news event is going on, then it has failed its purpose. If the usual major shows can be corralled into the same rough time frame as a regular E3 and be preceded by a company-neutral opening night, then it will cleanly recreate a modern E3. The only things missing will be physical interviews and demos, which could creep back in at a later date. Whatever smaller shows lie between then and Gamescom can be kept track of at fans' discretion. A replacement show doesn't need to come from a third-party organizer, assuming game industry heads can play nice with each other. Some manner of platform holder conference would be just what the industry needs, collecting showcases from Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo in one place. Major publishers with their own E3 shows such as Ubisoft and Square Enix could also join in on the festivities, resulting in an event made up of smaller shows that agree to air close to one another. The three platform manufacturers have come together in the past, such as agreeing to share safety standards, so a show like this is conceivable. As long as something with E3's impact can be maintained, it doesn't matter if a show named E3 is still running. The separation of different shows run by different companies for different purposes has been occurring for several years now, and allowing this collection of showcases to become self-regulating feels like the next step. Companies and events can move in and out of this gaming showcase period as needed, but that core show period will always be there to some extent. Even if Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo were to decide that another time would be better for them that year, there could still be a dedicated 2-week period for smaller events to congregate. According to Keithley's April 1 statements on the 2022 Summer Game Fest, it seems like that is precisely what the event intends to be. Despite all of its problems, the yearly E3 trade show has done a lot of good for the gaming industry, and hopefully, Summer Game Fest or some other event will be able to keep its legacy going. I love E3, it's a celebration of video games, meeting people, devs, and the highlights that are the roars and cheers that rise when the screen behind the curtain is unveiled. The reveal of God of War at E3 2016 is the best thing, the best showing of all time. You can't get that type of power in online streaming. E3 was dead when Sony left since 2019, and I hope it makes a comeback, or we need a PlayStation experience every year. A reminder that some of you may wonder why I didn't speak about the PS5 Pro rumor. It is because it's an old news from last year, that was already covered. The making a Pro is obvious considering the games far into the gen will be more demanding for the PS5, that at one point it could struggle doing 60 FPS. So a Pro model is necessary, and it could be releasing in 2 to 3 years, with maybe capable of doing native 4K at 120 FPS with ray tracing, using AMD's 5nm chips, and also considering the chip shortages currently, it is going to be a long generation. And that's all for the video guys, like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then from SMPV, it's goodbye.
I am hungry. Feed us.
What are we hunting?
You are hunting deer.